All right, guys. Good evening and welcome to Charlton Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is April 9th, first day of summer, 2024, 6:30 p.m. Let's get up and pledge allegiance. All right, guys. Good evening and welcome to Charlton Board of Selectmen meeting. Today is April 9th, first day of summer, 2024, 6:30.
There we go.
This is the first meeting?
The pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
How have been complimenting you on your text skills?
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone. Very nice to see everybody. Okay, let's go and approve the minutes from last meeting. Where's Jacob?
Motion to approve last meeting's minutes.
Second. Everybody? All in favor?
Aye.
Upstairs.
Community relations announcements and an open forum.
Good evening. I have the announcements for the Board of Selectmen meeting, April 9th, 2024. Real estate and personal property bills for the fourth quarter are due May 1st, 2024. Yard waste drop-off. Brush, branches, grass, clippings, and leaves, April 20th and 27th, May 4th and May 11th, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at 100 Flint Road. Happening at the library. The Cultural Council Art Show opening reception will be held on Thursday, April 11th, from 6 to 7 p.m. in Dexter Hall. Please join us to chat with the artists and enjoy some light refreshments and entertainment. No registration is required, and this event is free and open to all. The event is made possible thanks to the Mass Cultural Council, Monson Arts Council, and Webster Cultural Council.
Okay, do you have anyone for the open forum? Oh, anyone here for the open forum? Appointments and resignations.
First is an appointment for the Assistant Town Accountant. Attaches a request from Human Resource Director Lynn Dyer asking the board to appoint Sue Gearin as the Assistant Town Accountant. 5 applications were received and interviews held by Virginia Porter, Treasurer Collector, Ashley Oberza, Finance Director, and Lynn Dyer, Human Resource Director. I recommend the board make the appointment.
Hello, Susan. Hi.
Hey, Susan.
You want to tell us about yourself? What do you want to know? Okay, we want to know everything.
It's actually an internal transfer, so I worked in the town of Charlton, spent almost 6.5 years in water sewer department and transferring to the accounting department.
We're excited to have her.
How do you feel about Ashley? Motion to approve and welcome to the good side of the house. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome, Ashley.
Or Susan.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Ashley, don't go too far. We got other stuff for you later.
Yeah, I won't go too far. I promise.
Susan, thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
The next is an appointment to the Old Home Day Committee. Attaches a talent bank form from Brian Hicks seeking to be appointed to the Old Home Day Committee. I recommend the board make the appointment.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you, Brian.
Next, we have a resignation of the Director of Council on Aging. Attaches a letter from Sherry Russell resigning her position as Director of Council on Aging with her last day being April 25th, 2024. The board should accept her resignation.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And next is a resignation notice from the Executive Assistant to the Town Administrator. Attaches a letter from Kara Hemilowski resigning her position as Executive Assistant to the Town Administrator effective September 26th of 2024. Kara's been a great asset to our department, and the board should accept her resignation.
So moved with extreme regret. Kara, we're gonna miss you.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Andrew?
With extreme regret.
Regret.
Yes, absolutely.
Through the chair, could you add an item, please, to the next meeting for discussion with Kara leaving to talk about combining the 2 selectmen's office positions into one? Thank you.
As Mary gets upset watching this. Kidding, Mary. Kidding.
Next, we have a resignation of the Conservation Commission. Attaches a letter from Erica White resigning from the Conservation Commission. The board should accept her resignation.
Motion, and we appreciate your time, Mary.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
With regret. Schedule appointments. Okay, so we can, so yeah, let's do new business.
Even there's a chair right up front.
People march in the house. I feel like we're being invaded.
Okay. First, item on the new business is, Charlton Lions Club request for toll road. The Charlton Lions Club is requesting permission to hold the toll road in Charlton Center, the intersection of Main Street and Sonic Home Road on Saturday, May 11th, 2024, from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. with a rain date of May 18th, 2024. This request is forwarded to Chief Dowd, who is in support of the toll booth, contingent upon the following safety precautions: that all volunteers must wear bright colored vests while soliciting donations, orange traffic cones must be set out on Main Street and South Home Road for a distance not less than 50 feet on each respective way prior to reaching the toll station. Minimum of 5 traffic cones on each roadway should be put in place at a distance no greater than 10 feet apart. Signs warning voluntary toll booth ahead must be erected on both Masonic Home Road and Main Street, not less than 75 feet from the toll station, and no stopping of cars or impeding the flow of traffic in any way. Money raised from this event will be used for helping the community, and I recommend the board approve the request.
Motion approved with Chief Dow's requirements.
Second.
All in favor?
They've been doing this for as long as 20 years plus and never had an issue.
Next is a request from Chief Knopf to accept the acts of 2008, Chapter 467, for the EMTs to become part of Group 4 retirement. So FCAM has been working with Worcester Regional Retirement to allow EMTs at all levels to become part of Group 4 retirement groups under this act. Chief Knopf has stated that in this time of recruiting and retention, it would allow some flexibility and potential a better quality of employee for the department. In order to put this in place, the board would need to vote to approve and accept, and I'd recommend the board approve that.
I'm not surprised they weren't. Motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next is a reauthorization of the South Central Massachusetts Veterans District Agreement. Attaches a revised IMA for the reauthorization of the South Central Mass Veterans District Agreement. The current agreement expires June 30th, 2024, and the revised agreement would be from July 1st, 2024 to June 30th, 2026. The town in the agreement are Auburn, Charlton, Oxford, and Southbridge. I'd recommend the board approve the agreement.
I'm surprised that we have the smallest number. At 5, but I mean, it's just math, but, motion approved. This is a really good program.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
This is a request from Green Gold Group to revise the host community agreement with them. So attaches a revised HCA for Green Gold Group. They're currently in the process of renewing their license with the Cannabis Control Commission. As we saw with Terps, the Cannabis Control Commission promulgated new rules that relative to host community agreements that have been addressed in the revised host community agreement. So it's essentially a pro forma agreement this way.
Madam Chair, since I called on them for business and advertising, I will sit back from this.
Yeah, this is very similar to the one we did for Terps. So, yeah, motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
For this,
I'm sorry.
discussion, but if, so they're going in front of the Cannabis Commission for a license, so they don't have a license. Why wouldn't we give them a host agreement?
It's their renewal.
It's the renewal of their license.
And there's no opposition from the Cannabis Control. We don't think that yet, or
No, the requirement of the Cannabis Control Commission is that anytime they have to renew their annual license with them, that it now needs to be in the form, their pro forma HCA, no longer individual towns and specialized agreements.
okay. Just wanted to say that.
Oh, we have old business.
So, could we take that vote?
Oh, yes, I'm
We
sorry.
haven't taken a
I'm
vote.
sorry. Yeah.
We have a motion and
I think we have a second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome back.
That's a long trip.
Nothing for old business? Policy review?
Nothing tonight.
Nothing tonight. student, maybe? Yeah, let's do that. Guys, you ready? Everyone?
Okay, so, last night or yesterday, the varsity baseball team had the opportunity to play at Polar Park, in a game against Worcester Tech, and they won 4-0, so congrats to the boys.
And before you go on with that, Pete told me a really interesting piece of information. Selectmen said, if you want
The pitcher Angel threw a no-hitter, and it was the third no-hitter in Polar Park history.
Wow,
to, so that's pretty cool.
that's pretty cool. I didn't even know that.
I tried to hit there and I missed the ball every time.
In the arts, the Shepherd Hill Drama Department will be putting on a high school edition of Clue on Friday, April 26th and Saturday, April 27th. You can purchase tickets at onthestage.tickets.com, and you can come find out who did it. And if that isn't enough to get you to go, Harry Kennan, who we all know, is going to be one of the main roles in it, so. Just under school-wide, the Shepherd Hill principal, Mr. Elwell, is very excited to announce the additions of new classes starting in the fall of 2024. Classes include, but are not limited to, AP Pre-Calculus, 3 different types of AP Physics courses, World Drumming, Intro to Food and Nutrition, and Intro to Firefighting. This month, the post-grad program at Shepherd Hill began their student-run business called At Your Service, which runs errands for teachers and delivers orders. The program has taught students social skills, money management, and customer service skills. And they're excited to see their business grow week by week. Finally, please help the DCRSD community send AJ Congdon, a local student currently battling with cancer, off to Seattle at the AJ Strong fundraiser. This event will include a free throw competition, kid races, face painting, and a 1-hour-long workout class. Fundraiser will take place on April 27th from 12 to 2 p.m. at Shepherd Hill, and all proceeds will go to the Congdon family.
Can you put it up on the library?
Sure, okay, just giving the information.
Thanks for updating us on that.
Okay, so for Bay Path, for general information and events, the last advisory committee meeting was held last Wednesday and catered by Culinary. Third quarter grades have closed, bringing students into the 4th and final quarter of the school year. Next week, students will be on spring break, and after there will be an induction ceremony on May 8th for the National Honor Society. Additional information has been sent to the guidance department regarding the town scholarships. And then for student achievements and sports happenings, the junior varsity baseball team has won over the Hopedale team 13-3. The softball team has also won their season's opening game over Northbridge for softball with a close call 9-8. The Skills USA States competition will be held from the 25th to the 27th later this month.
Yeah. Jacob, how's your newsletter club going? Good. Yeah. Got a lot of people involved?
I think there's about 10.
Seriously? Keeping them all honest? All right, I'm counting on it.
I have a comment for our 2 wonderful student select people. We have a new state representative, John Marcy. You probably know him, or you've heard of him if you haven't heard of him. I saw a post on his Facebook page yesterday. He's looking for summer interns and it's juniors and seniors in high school and freshmen and sophomore, if I read it correctly, in college. Summer intern jobs for people who are interested in politics. You might get a couple letters of recommendation if that was something you guys were thinking about. You've already donated your time.
That's interesting.
Go on John Marcy's website. You'll see it. If not, I'll send it to you. It said the jobs could either be in Boston or local.
That's pretty good.
I don't know how many interns they give John Marcy. I can't. I don't know how many they give him, but it looked like he was looking for more. You guys have already served your time.
6:45. That's the fun begin.
I get Kristen out here, so.
First, so how are we gonna do that? we're gonna all come together, because they're gonna open a meeting, right?
Yeah, have each one of them open a meeting, and I guess maybe we have a representative from each come to the
To the
table.
table.
And so I've got quorum here from FinCom, if I could open my meeting.
Yeah.
Right? So I will open the meeting at 7:45. We'll waive the minutes of the last meeting to do that.
Same for you guys? You open it?
Yeah, no,
Just, Drew, yeah, so we good? All right.
We're good.
All right.
Right, so now they're both here. Let's see, I will.
As you're doing that, set expectations, are we talking around the number for the school budget tonight as well, or we just get direction?
So I think we should just kind of get direction, overall direction as far as budget, kind of where finance committee's been, school committee has been their review. You guys in your packet should have an outline of the, overall budget presentation and recommendation. I'll leave to the board if you guys want me to go through the full presentation, or if you guys want me to pull up any individual highlights.
Chair, I'm fine with the highlights, but that's just me. I
Right.
mean, it's-
Yeah.
We already said, yeah.
Yeah, Andrew did a great job in this packet, it's all fine, so. Just made up for your second.
So some of the highlights are outlined on the first page here of some of the issues that we're looking to address in it, essentially trying to provide goals and objectives that are necessary and impactful to the budget. Trying to address staffing shortages that improve and review the turnover of permit applications, address the need for dedicated facilities management for oversight over all town buildings, addressing operational efficiencies and public safety staffing levels, meet the net school spending and budgetary requests of the schools, addressing structural deficiencies in the comp and class plan, and move toward implementing long-term capital investments. Few things that we've been trying, that we had challenges on, was managing some of the new growth from the ongoing construction to make sure that we're maximizing the long-term sustainability of the current new growth. Trying to plan for the debt exclusion vote for the construction project and anticipated portion of that's going to be underneath the levy. An 11% proposed increase to the Dudley Charlton School Assessment, increase in continuing a 5-year average of an 8% increase each year. The current job and labor market, attrition and competitive wages that are going on not only on the municipal side, but also in the private sector that we have to compete with. Facilities maintenance and management, and continued increases in retirement insurance costs. Just as we looked at revenue from the first half of last year, essentially what we saw, this is before the first major motor vehicle excise commitment. So that if you're wondering, this is really just to 12/30/23. This isn't a current date. So as of that point, we were kind of on trend for the prior year of motor vehicle excise, but really in all of our other major local receipt categories, we were well above benchmark. Projected going into FY25, right now with our total taxable levy from the prior year, be about a 4.8% increase from FY24. That includes a 2.5% levy increase of 809,000 and a projected new growth number of 800,000, which is a conservative estimate. 400,000 of that is a debt exclusion for a total tax levy of about 34.4 million. We're estimating state receipts based off of the governor's budget at 1.9 million. Estimated local receipts, an increase of 3.4% from our projected from FY24 of up to become a 3.09. I note that first column in FY '23, that it was actual receipts, so we've been pretty consistent with budgeting around that $3 million each year. But you can see where the local receipts from '23 came in about $1.7 million higher. And then, it's stable on the receipts reserved for appropriation, and then the charges against revenue. So a total available funds increase of about 2.8%. As far as who shares the burden, I just want to point out that in FY '22, the residential base was 78.8% of the total tax burden. And now with the industrial growth that we've had, that number's been reduced to 74.5%. And each year, we've trended well below our actual local receipts, but we're just noticing a trend where that gap is closing. But I'll note that in up to FY '20, the included in that local receipts was our contribution from Millennium, which when that pilot expired, that then went into as part of the new growth base.
Andrew, on that, just back to you. Just for the folks at home, and around who shares the tax burden, on this sheet, it's the bottom one, I believe. This is the first time in my tenure, maybe David's longest serving, like probably even his, that we're below 3/4 of residential. So that means that the business growth strategies that we've been pushing are working. That means that the burden is not always on the individual homeowner. So now over 25% is being pushed to industrial, commercial, personal property to a limited extent, but pure residential taxes is the first time that I could remember at all that we're below 75%. So that's a testament to Ashley, Virginia, Andrew, of course, et cetera. So anyway, but that's just my shout out for the folks who don't think that our commercial strategy is working, because it is.
Because now we hit the 75% mark.
We're at 74.5 right now, which is great. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, no problem.
Steal your thunder.
It's all right. All right, so this slide here just kind of shows those two comparisons where we show our new growth of residential and commercial and our excess levy capacity. So as you can see, up to 2021 back to 2010, and pretty much kind of remained stagnant below $500,000 on both lines. And then once we hit 2021, a big growth jump in that year was that Millennium pilot coming off, and then that adding to new growth. But we also had a revaluation of a MCI building that was factored in by the state, which really jumped those numbers up. We tailed back down a little bit in 23, and then that jump in 24 is essentially what we realized from the Amazon facility and some other commercial growth. And then that's factored out also when you look at the last fiscal year, where every year back to 2010, with some exceptions, been between 16 and 17, we budgeted to the penny of what we've allowed to tax for our levy capacity. Last year, we shot up to $740,000 in excess levy capacity. So just to kind of show that trend. Cool. Skip on that part of the highlights. So I'll just go real quick. Some of the increases on the general government side. So the general government side is projected a 2.8% increase, with a cost of living adjustment on all positions recommended at 3%. And public safety. So we are proposing a budget increase of total public safety at 3.1%. The department head requests that were different from what is recommended from what was requested, was basically a level funding of overtime and sick time in the police time budget, a smaller increase in police department expenses than what was requested, a smaller increase than what was requested in K-9 expenses, same as well in fire department overtime salaries, training reimbursement, and the addition of a part-time non-benefited department assistant under the building department. fun, all right, now the fun part of the school, so I guess just, this part we have the discussion about. So, the Bay Path assessment, that one basically follows the net school spending formula. They're proposing essentially a 0.1% increase over last year based off enrollment. The DCRSD budget, the operational assessment increase being proposed is a 10.7% increase. The large increase in capital assessment is mainly tied to the first year of debt payments on the middle school roof project for a total assessment increase of 11.5%. And then on the other side, I just kind of juxtaposed that against what was passed by the WFFA and what that would do to the Charlton assessment. So essentially that would bring that total assessment down from 11.5% to 9.7% if that was the recommendation that was ended up moving forward.
Madam Chair, can we stop here for a second? Sure. Because I think this is gonna be the point of discussion for the next, I don't know, X months, insert whatever number you want. So Andrew and team, again, that's just me talking. Andrew and team, I think, have done a great job getting the budget ready. Finance committee, I'm sure you have your own views on it, depending, I watched a couple of years. I think our side's solid, meaning the pure municipal side. What it's gonna come down to is the school side, like it does every single year, and more than likely, it's gonna come down to what Dudley comes back with, unless the school committee takes different actions. I'm just gonna say flat out right now, the last I heard, and Steve, correct me if I'm wrong, or the school committee, y'all are asking for 2.4 all in. That's a level services budget with a restoration of the assistant superintendent's position. Again, 1 to 5, I'm telling you, this year, I got no problem with it. You guys cut every single year. I think doing this restoration of the assistant superintendent, which you had, as a reminder, everybody at home, 2 positions were combined into 1. That 1 would then cut. Now you have a stipend person doing it, which is surreal at best with the amount of work that needs to get done. Again, I would defer to the rest of the board. I'm really not going to debate it. It's just a matter of, I'm just saying right now, this year, next year might be a completely different conversation, I'm not gonna lie to you. But this year, we can afford on our side the 2.4, unless other members want to reallocate that or do something else.
Maybe.
Yeah, no, yeah, well, and so my 2 cents, and then I'm gonna stop talking, is I have zero problem giving you guys, assuming we can, what you're asking for this year. So I'll turn it over to the rest of the members to the board to.
Steve, can you come up to a microphone? I got a couple of questions for you, but,
I'd be happy to, Steve. Good evening.
Good evening. So we all knew last year, and it was a debacle. It was terrible. Your budget was completed in October, November or something. It was
August 15th.
August 15th.
It's a date I won't forget.
Okay.
And then we had a mad start to get the schools open.
And we all knew back then, and I'm stepping back from this year because the odds of the last year, it was a good learning experience, but I really don't want to do what you guys have to do for that part. But we knew last year that this year we were going to be minus the ESSER funds of 1.3 million. And now you're asking for 2.4. But we were also told that all your contracts were in place for a few years. What changed? What added 1.1 million to that?
Steve, I greatly appreciate the question, but first let me start by thanking the Charlton Select Board for your support through last year. And it certainly helped that you did voluntarily provide money for the roof for the capital project as well. That was instrumental in all of our work going forward. So I just want to thank you in your support of our schools in that. The big change that we were surprised at this year is a 9.9% increase on health insurance benefits. That's the one we were not fully prepared for. We've been averaging for around the 4 or 5%, but this year went up by 9.9, which was an increase of $700,000 to our budget. So that's the one we didn't plan on. That would have certainly, if we didn't have that, we would certainly come in, and it's still much lower. So if you look at even the 2.4 million, that's still 1.1 million less than last year, what we asked for in totality for our budget. And if you look at where we may be landing, which I agree with Mr. Borowski, Bill, that where Dudley lands is where Charlton will land. That could be one of the things we're still waiting for is state budgets. The House is supposed to come out with some new numbers tomorrow. We're looking forward to seeing those. That could change some transportation reimbursement. I'm not here to tell you where school committee is going on that. I'm just sharing the information with you. But that could bring in closer to 3% increase. And that would be 1.7 million less than last year, what was asked through that whole process. So again, there's been a lot of work. Those contracts are in place to help reduce that cost over years. So we have some predictability in that, because as we talked about last year, was a perfect storm around some of those contracts. But the one factor that we did not have I was gonna say a glass ball, but that's not what it is,
Crystal ball.
crystal ball, yeah, crystal glass ball, was on health insurance. We didn't expect that to increase by 9.9%. Which is borne by the members in our staff as well,
Oh, yeah.
on their contribution part of that. So it's a big hit for both, not only the employees, but also for the district and for the towns.
I watched your last meeting and it looked like you guys, it looked like you were pushing for 1.9 and the school committee was going for, they decided to go 2.4. What would happen if you ended up with a 1.9?
My job is to work with whatever I'm given. And my job is to prepare a recommendation to the school committee. It's the school committee's decision on what the final budget will be as far as the big number. So that's ultimately a question for the school committee.
Okay. I just think by going to that, I just have I think you're gonna be in a debacle with Dudley again, similar to last year. That's kind of my prediction, but
I will go.
hopefully not.
Hopefully not. I will go with Bill on this 100% this year. As well. I mean, everybody has their wishes and needs and why not? But, staying at the level of services is just ridiculous. There has to be more than that. That's my opinion. Also, I don't know, since last year, everybody seems to be so, having some anxiety, overall, not just here or in Dudley or outside on the streets about the budget in the schools. And for some reason, I have this feeling that everywhere I go, I defend it, and I think that's because all the talk is about money and they need this, they need that, but it's very little talk about achievements of all those kids, of everything that you guys do every day. My kids go to those schools and I see it every day. So I think that to advocate for making the work better and more pleasant for everybody is to just tell more about what is that you're actually offering, not the services that are going to be cut, but what is going at schools right now. How great you guys are, Madeline, the show choir, all those things. I don't think that everybody is aware of how much work every single teacher in every of those schools puts in. It's just beyond me that people are so disappointed and angry with all the atmosphere out there that they forget to ask about the good things that are happening. So I wish that would be communicating a little better, so that will help the process on both sides. I mean, it's just me, my opinion, it's just that level servicing thing has to stop. Enough is enough. But there's 2 towns, there's 5 of us. That's just my opinion.
There's nothing for me to add. Everyone knows where I stand. I think everyone up here is pro school, and I think we've already stated clearly that Charleston can deliver for the school this year, but we're still forced to be in a holding pattern, right, until we know what Dudley does.
Yeah.
And I think we have to make our decisions based on what our students need and not vote on what we think Dudley's gonna do, and just stay strong and just go with what we feel the school system needs and let Dudley figure out their end.
Agreed.
Through Madam Chair, through the chair, I just want to share a couple of other important pieces, because this is my 5th year here as the superintendent for Dudley Charlton, and I've learned quite a bit over the past couple of years, especially coming from a single town originally as a superintendent and working with 2 towns. But Barbara, I certainly agree. And a couple of things the school committee has authorized for us to do is we have educational resource services coming in to do an operational audit of our schools, and that's looking at all of our buildings. Mm-hmm. And looking at, how we master schedule, how we utilize our assets, how do we utilize staff and teaching and all that kind of stuff, as well as, what's the workflow like as well, from our district office to those buildings. So that's something that's happening at the end of this year. On top of that, with the capital plan that was approved, we did an architectural review of all of our schools. And part of that architectural review was to look at our school capacities as well, see if there's any shifts or changes in there, because some ideas came out last year about what maybe reconfigurations and things of that nature. So, but we also need to look at where we are capital-wise as well with all of our facilities too. So we really appreciate the support for that. So that's coming out as well. And then the third thing is I've already communicated and worked with the Department of Revenue, which works with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education. They're coming in the fall to do a financial audit of how we operate as a school. So these three things are coming together, and I've heard, this is what I've heard over the past couple of years is, there is still that level of unknown, because it's difficult for the schools to always project, what's going on to both communities in the same fashion, because you deal with two individual communities and they have their own identities at times. But this information will be extremely helpful, not only for us, but for you as leaders of the town of Charlton to see where we're at. So I really wanted to share that with you this evening too.
Yeah, I think this is so important. I think that we could help out a little bit, sharing all this information through our, town websites, through the social media platforms, anywhere. Any achievement is welcome, and we will make sure that this is, communicated with at least Charlton residents. And then we have the John Marcy, like you mentioned. We have all those. We have senators. We have, state reps. So I think that communication, because I know that they are working or trying to do anyways to the Chapter 7 formula. So all that collaboration, I honestly believe, can make a difference. We all come together, unfortunately, it's not just one town, but we're trying.
Yes, I
Yeah.
greatly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I'm curious, not to put Hank and folks on the spot, I'm curious what FinCom thought about the school budget ask, unless you've not talked about it yet, then that's fine too.
Yeah, no, we were happy with the way it was presented,
No,
and the way that
maybe
it
you
fits into the overall budget.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that general consensus is, assuming we can afford it, 2.4, that total number, not just us, that's 2.4 ask. We can afford it, but clearly Dudley's gonna do its thing, whatever it can do, and we'll just have to reassess as the time comes.
Comes out to like 1.4, and then for us, and then $1 million for Dudley or something like rough numbers, but it's.
What's the file number? Did you have it up there?
Through the chair, Madam Chair, the one thing I know Dudley's waiting for is the shift in reimbursement for transportation, because the governor's budget had it at 80%, which is a new number for us over the past couple of years. We were looking at 90%, and we feel somewhat confident that it's going to land there, but we need the factual information to really look at that and see that happen. I mean, last year the House actually said 100%. We were cheering on for at least a month.
Yeah.
Until the Senate got a hold of it, and then it went back to 90, but.
I'm not a betting man on over 90 this year, I'll tell you right now.
No, I'm not,
Yeah,
I wouldn't say over 90, but if we get to 90, then that's helpful for, I know the town of Dudley's looking at that, and that's helpful for you as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thank you, Steve.
Okay?
God, this is one of the least contentious
Yes.
school things.
It's never been good.
What town are you living in?
I don't have a memory.
You know?
Yeah, so I just want to pull this one up, and I think that's kind of like shows the trend over time, really, and how the state's funding formula really has hampered the district ever since essentially 2008. Prior to that time, that Chapter 70 formula really just kind of followed through with the district assessment increases and the school's budget. And then you saw after the financial collapse, we've been minimum aid town ever since, and that's basically been level fund every single year, even though the operational costs and the assessment increases have picked up the pace. So that kind of highlights that, and hopefully that kind of paints a picture of to where we actually stand with this. Public Works, one of the increase in the salary line, that's really because we're about 2 years behind with actually having a contract with DPW. So this is to catch up on the contract agreement. First year it's actually being in the budget in that amount of time, not being 0% increase. It also includes the changing of the cemetery superintendent position to a facilities and maintenance director position. In order to accomplish that, we're essentially pulling him out of the field to become more of a administrator, and to offset his lack of involvement moving forward in the field. Our proposal would be to backfill that with a laborer position. So that's being proposed in this budget.
So what's the total delta between those two?
Oh, let's see.
I'm not necessarily opposed to it.
Just trying to do that.
I'm sorry, should I?
It's about a, just say $70,000.
How much?
70.
So the new position would be responsible for all the facilities in town?
Facilities and cemeteries.
Yeah. And the labor would be part of that as well?
Correct. The other here's jurisdiction and assist with mowing of fields during the summer months and then, or mowing the cemeteries during the summer months and then assist with plowing operations in the winter.
Yeah, I'm not opposed to it. I mean, if we were asking the schools to take a cut, I'd be more opposed, but.
And just so what happens then, we're not at that point today, but if we do reach the point where we transition to a true DPW, that position then get eliminated?
This position would probably fall in as an assistant director position if it was to transition to full DPW. So you'd essentially have a, in line with your highway foreman, this would be similar to the highway foreman's position. It'd be like, essentially, if you're looking at scale of hierarchy, DPW director, facilities and facilities and cemeteries, and then highway foreman.
Yeah, I'm okay with it.
Yeah, me too.
Unless we need to start cutting schools, then I'm gonna say no. But for now, I'm all right with it.
Expander.
Human services and culture and recreation, really no main highlights here, really just a 3.5% increase, a 3.3% increase respectively. Debt service, continued our downward trend to minus 4.6 as things fall off, which is not taking on any new debt this year. But this is the last year of the highway facility, engine one, Maynard Field improvements, and the tanker truck. So FY 26, all of those debt service payments will be gone. On the sheet, I also projected out when the fire station potentially would hit in FY 27, the debt excluded amount and the amount being proposed underneath the levy, as well as the old landfill cap, which was approved about 2 years ago and working toward starting construction hopefully by the end of this year.
So one of that will come off and potentially one will get on.
Right, so you actually have 1, 2, 3, you have about 4 of these lines are actually dropping off after this fiscal year.
And also if a bonding improves to the AAA, then that will be helpful in this whole process too, because of the different.
If the town is able to achieve a AAA bond rating, that will improve our ability or our interest rate. Yeah.
So
But in fairness, interest rates are much higher than they were years ago too, so.
Yeah.
I mean, even though we'll be doing well, it's like, you know, the old days of getting a 3.6, whatever it is, mortgage are over, even if you have great credit, so it's the same idea.
We'd be happy with a 4%.
That's still better than
4% with the AAA bond rate.
Yeah.
Where 2 years ago, we could have gotten a 1% with
Yeah.
AAA bond.
But still better than 1.5, right?
But ironically, on that same note, the higher our bond rating goes, the higher our assessment from the school department,
Well, that's
from the state
kind of,
goes, right? That's just,
Well, yes.
that's municipal revenue growth factor. That's what that's tied to.
yeah.
They look at towns and say, how much do we expect you to grow? And they extrapolate that out, so. Yeah, you did a really nice job on this issue.
Thank you. Our insurance and retirement. So this was kind of a big hit, as Steve had alluded to, from the school side. We realized the same general increases, a 10.8% increase on the sheet and the side, or on the chart on the side. You can really see where those retirement insurance have increased, and that's essentially them catching up from what their actuaries have said have been underfunding for years. General insurance, again, that's another increase, almost 10% that we're projecting. Group health insurance, 11.3%. That is the projected increase in insurance plus any new positions we could anticipate coming on, and pretty much flat on all the other lines.
And one cool question around OPEB, not that I'm complaining about the 150% increase.
Yeah.
What's the rationale behind that?
So what we've done is actually, if you look on the sheet or on the chart below, at the combination between regular town meeting and special town meeting, we've at least funded $250,000 between the two, with the exception being FY '23, when we did $250,000 in the spring and then another $250,000 in the fall to catch up. And that has actually been paying huge dividends in the market. This year, since we're able to afford it within the operational budget, we're looking to fit that full 250 into this year. I think our actuarial requirement was only about 108. 130. So we're actually going well beyond to try to meet our 4-year funding plan well in advance.
So what would that potentially mean for fall town meeting? Would we be looking at increase that even more actually, or?
Could if we got a favorable free cash back, if
Yeah.
that's what we decide. Otherwise, we're already overfunded to what?
I was gonna say,
But
so-
obviously, the more money we put in there, the more will be fully
Yeah.
funded sooner, so.
yeah, let's keep our eye on this one because this might be either a good opportunity to increase the OPEB in the fall or potentially put more into our capital stabilization fund. I mean, I think we can go either way on, but again, just something to think about. Again, I'm not objecting to it. It's just, I just want to go through it. So the fact that we have the money, I think is nice. Because someone's got to pay for this someday and I don't want my grandkids to.
And then,
Once in a while.
so just wrapping up, we just showed, essentially our total available funds that we're projecting is 40.5 million. And that proves out on the expenditure side as well, 40.5 million. So 0% variance for 8.2% overall increase in expenditures.
So what debits and credits.
And then just quickly on the water and sewer expense side, they're projecting on the water side a $97,000 budget, primarily funded through capital overlay, funded through the true-up fees with Southbridge retained earnings and water stabilization fund. On the sewer, or on the expense side, really, they're anticipating a reduction in privilege fees and betterment charges, but have the excess in usage charges to be able to cover that cost. Projecting a about $1.6 million enterprise budget on sewer. And then free cash items. So currently we have $724,000 that was unallocated for free cash in the fall, and 3.6 million in stabilization fund, and then another 1.6 in stabilization in the capital stabilization. Our proposed uses of some of these funds is about $500,000 to offset projected overage in energy costs, $55,000 to offset projected overage in gas and diesel expenses, $120,000 to offset snow and ice expenses over budget. One thing that came to our attention after the free cash was certified was that there was a receipt that was turned over, which was intended to be exclusively for peer review on the Amazon project, which was closed out to free cash in error. So we're looking to reverse that error with reallocating that money out of free cash. And then $10,000 toward the Railroad Pond Improvement Project.
It's actually gonna be 16.
16,000, sorry. So didn't have a chance to update that number, but 16,000.
But it's less than the over $100,000 that we were originally quoted because DPW is gonna help do a lot of the work.
Then from capital stabilization, we're projecting using $1.5 million out of that capital stabilization amount, essentially breaking the piggy bank for its intended use. And then from the special revenue items, $425,000 from ambulance receipts reserved for the purchase of an ambulance, anticipated lead time of 3 years for build time, and $10,000 from the Waterway Improvements Fund to municipal waterways RFA, or from the RFA for improvements that conservation is requesting. And the water stabilization, the Water and Sewer Commission has requested $830,000 for the purchase of a property on Old Bay Path Road for potential water supply.
And that's one of the warrant items at the end, right?
Correct, yes.
So the State of the Union is positive.
State of the Union is positive, thank you very much.
Like I said, I'm good.
All right. Hold on.
I guess they're all set.
Yeah, you guys, anybody?
Hey, you guys happy?
Everybody? Anything to say?
Yeah.
Not your time.
This was a very impressive presentation, by the way.
Yeah.
I know you put a lot of work into it, and I was very impressed.
I just gave Andrew some of the numbers, he did all.
If I might, I'd like on behalf of the finance committee to thank all the department heads for their preparedness when they came to meet with us for their budget hearings. I think we've got a great set of department heads in this town. They know what they're doing. They're very concise. They weren't over the top on anything, okay? We got a chance to meet with them all and we're very happy. I know that it's hard to add positions, adding people, okay, is a cost, and yet I think that the budget that we've come up with here adds the right people in the right places as we need it, okay? Because you're right, we can't just stay status quo all the time. If we're gonna get better at it, we've got to do some growing. We were happy with the school department's budget. It worked. There was no big discussions like there were last year. That's a blessing, okay? And I do want to thank both Andrew and Ashley for all the hard work that they put into this, okay? Taking all that information and putting it, albeit in a very small font on the budget, but very concise and very clear and easy for us to make decisions on.
I'm gonna print it on the kit printer next time.
No, this is great.
Well, actually, when are our friends in the school committee meeting with our colleagues and or
23rd,
counterparts, and is that what it is, April
right,
23rd?
23rd?
There's a meeting scheduled for Thursday,
Oh, yeah?
this week, yes.
Okay.
But don't we meet the 23rd?
No.
FinCom?
Oh, we're gonna be meeting again with FinCom.
Yeah,
to
FinCom.
the
I'll
articles.
schedule a Board of Selectmen FAA meeting for Thursday.
Yeah. Steve, just let us know how it goes. would you?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is the,
just let us know how it goes.
Yeah, of course.
does the school committee want to sit through our fire station presentation? Because I think you're gonna meet with them
I'll meet with you guys
He's coming.
tomorrow.
He's
tomorrow.
coming to the meeting tomorrow, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
We won't take it personally, do
Oh, yeah, well, we might.
it? Depends on how you guys vote and go that.
If you guys want to
Steve
close
is
your meeting,
writing.
and I'll drop Chris off.
I'm excited because I'm gonna.
Motion to adjourn finance?
Second. I have a motion and a second to adjourn the finance committee meeting. All those in favor say yes.
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 Thanks for coming in, guys.
Motion closed.
Should we get Chris meeting?
Yeah, she raised her hand.
Okay.
Okay, I couldn't-
Motion second, yes, second, all those in favor? Aye. I got it.
Be nice tomorrow night to us, just remember that.
we'll be very nice. Thank you. Thank you, thank you.
Thank you,
Take care.
Steve. Thank you.
Good to see you.
So now what, we're moving to
Yeah, I'm gonna just
fire.
like take a 1 second recess. Yeah.
No, I went last year.
You did?
Yes.
Did you love it?
I did. It was so much fun.
My son is going, I'm a little, I wasn't thinking I'm gonna be worried, but I'm worried. Because he's so young.
For what?
There's nothing.
We have a school trip from Shepherd All right, okay, let's get this right back at it.
We're keeping these.
Yep,
I'm ready.
all right, ready?
So next we have a presentation on the fire department substation project. So Jeff and Tom from the project teams of Context Architecture and CHA respectively. Also Addie from CHA is here as well.
Feel free to keep it brief.
Right, well, thank you for inviting us to present and talk about the project for a little bit. Again, my name is Jeff Sean, Principal at Context Architecture. Our team is leading the design of the new fire station. I'll let you guys introduce yourself.
I'm Sean Kazulis from CHA Consulting. I'm Aditya Modi from CHA as well. We are the owner's project manager.
So, overall project team, so it's Addie, Tom, Jeff. You guys are here as well as Mina from Context. So just overall the need, I don't really have to refresh this with you guys, but essentially, you know the conditions that we're currently working under and what they're subjected to, and that's essentially what we're trying to correct. And this has been the result of what we've had to deal with the $3 million of our town assets essentially sitting in water for much of the time. It's unacceptable.
It's embarrassing. Sorry.
So our project goals is to design a fire station that appropriately meets the needs of the town, establish a public safety asset within close proximity to the schools, increase the safety and fire protection to the community overall by reducing response times, trying to establish a reasonable and efficient plan that minimizes the financial impact to the residents of the town of Charlton. So our design, the proposed fire station is designed to fit the apparatus that are currently housed in Station 2 in the Quonset hut, as well as the personnel to man the apparatus. Station 2 includes 4 drive-through bays, 3 administrative offices, a training room large enough for 12 people, gear lockers, small fitness room, dorm rooms, and day room and kitchen space. And then the exterior is designed to try to fit the characteristics of the neighborhood around it. The second goal is to establish a public safety asset in close proximity to the schools. The station would be located at the main entrance of the middle school at the intersection of Heritage Drive and Oxford Road. The establishment of the public safety asset at this location will provide immediate response to the school campus in the event of an emergency. And currently there's a 7-minute drive time response to the Charlton School campus from Station 1 on Power Station Road. The proposed building location is 1,500 feet from the middle school and Heritage School, less than a mile from Bay Path, and just over 1.5 miles from Charlton Elementary School. So, in trying to address the response, the department primarily covers a response area of about 44 square miles, including large portions of the Mass Pike and Route 20, based off current single staff station model. The department is able to respond to about 57% of the town in under 4 minutes and 84% of the town in under 8 minutes. The average travel time per call now is 4 minutes and 31 seconds, and the 90th percentile of calls are responded to in about 9 minutes and 40 seconds. The second manned station on Oxford Road will be able to cover about 63% of the town in under 4 minutes and 92% of the town in under 8 minutes. This would reduce the average travel time to 3 minutes and 50 seconds, and the 98% of the call would be reduced from 7 minutes to 7 minutes and 38 seconds. So this is a response time reduction of 2 minutes. And finally, the financial plan. So you'll see the numbers are a little bit different than what we talked about before. And I guess we can talk about some of the differences of what we've kind of realized in the schematic design phase versus where we are now. But essentially, the total project estimate right now, this includes the funding that's already been allocated, but it's $19 million. Take out less the money that was already appropriated at special town meeting, the total ask is 18.5 million. Of that, 14.7 is construction costs with projected escalation, 2.7 in remaining soft costs, and just over 1 million in contingency funds. Our plan is to use almost $1.6 million in funds available to us to pay down on top of that, prove a debt exclusion of 13.1 million, leaving 3.8 million to be funded within the levy limit.
Can we stop right there for a second?
Yeah.
So just to remind everybody at home, that was what we promised. It wasn't that the ballot was not gonna go above, or that the debt exclusion was not gonna go above 13.1. So even though the price has increased from what was the original estimate, when we got more information, we're not breaking our promise. That it's staying where we said it was going to on that. Everything else is gonna come in under the levy. So I just want to make sure.
Yeah. So this is the comparison of the feasibility budget versus the current budget. This is provided by CHA. So you can see the increases of the construction and design costs, kind of the design costs were reevaluated as we got to this phase of the project along with the construction. I think the biggest drivers, and you guys can kind of talk to this point, was really not so much the site work, but the HVAC costs. Was kind of a big driver, and really that's because of new energy codes that were now in effect as compared to when we did the feasibility study.
Sorry, Andrew, can you go back to the beginning? To my friends, actually, I'm not sure who to ask this, around the contingency, I say it dropped.
Yes.
I'm curious as to why.
Because we decided to create a budget that is equity, that meets our target, that we think is sellable to the community and fits us. We brought it from a 10% contingency to a 7.3% contingency.
What's our confidence level on that? Around
I can start first. So, we, as the project team, I think we want to make sure that you're well covered, that you are acting prudently, and that, in our experience, that we have, the tools at hand when the project gets going to help the town. We can't, as we were talking earlier in your meeting, we don't have a crystal ball, so we can't understand all the risk to the town, but this is your risk mitigation here. And for a new building, on a new site, we typically aren't going to bring a 10% contingency as part of the overall project budget. We might in the study phase, just because we're trying to, put everything on the table, but now that we've got enough information that's appropriate to reduce it, the question is, reduce it to where? And I would tell you 5 or 6% is too low, but somewhere between 6 and 10%, we can have a discussion about where everybody feels comfortable.
Right, you somewhat put my mind at ease, knowing that as you go from feasibility to actual.
It's customary.
It's customary to drop it.
As the risks become known.
All right, I feel much better now, right.
Where are you seeing on other projects that you're working on, where are you seeing the actual bids come in compared to your projections?
So ironically, just before this meeting, we awarded a contract to a contractor that came in. We do 2 estimates. So, the architect does an estimate and CHA does an estimate. And this was for a library project, larger in scale, but came in exactly in the middle of the 2 estimates. Exactly in the middle.
Yeah, and to answer your next question, the number that's on that sheet, the construction cost estimate, is the higher of the 2.
Okay.
So we're not.
Oh, well, yeah, I think we
So,
understand,
being
but
prudent.
you can't go back and take another bite at the apple.
Exactly.
Yeah, we'd have to start.
The estimates we reconciled on Monday, they were very close, they were within, $100,000 of each other, so it wasn't too hard to get to that point.
Thank you.
I was a little surprised at the uptick, the recent increase.
I think it was anticipated once we kind of saw that with the change in the energy codes, and really once we knew it was on site, that was going to be the cost driver. So we were just, I think, crossing our fingers to make sure that didn't go over a $20 million mark, because we knew that was going to be a definite change in discussion. So,
You said that well.
And then just outlining the impacts of this 13.1 million of the $18.5 million project costs. you can see, depending on the assessed value of your property, essentially what that impact would be. The average taxable bill impact for the 30-year projected loan is about $148 or $149 per year.
So a little over $12 per month.
We've added a nifty little calculator onto the town website, and you can actually put in what your property value is and figure out how much you would be projected to pay.
So the average homeowner, if you can find $12 a month to get a brand new substation, that's what it comes down to.
It's like
Companies instead of Starbucks.
When Starbucks, yeah, you can't even get a Whopper for $12. Right?
These are just some views of the project from each of the sides, and then cited next to the neighbors. So our timeline, essentially our next benchmarks here are in red. May 4th is going to be our annual town election, but the debt exclusion for the 13.1. May 20th, we'll be asking for the authorization of the funding mechanisms, including 13.1 in debt exclusion and 5.4 in direct funds and debt within the levy limit. Through the summer and the fall, we're preparing the construction documents and going out to building construction to beginning sometime in the November-December timeframe. Projected completion around December of 2025. And then your first time you'll see it on the town meeting warrant will be May of 26, with the first taxable impact in January of 2027.
Sure. Andrew, can you just walk through the folks at home one more time, the delta between what we're voting on at the town meeting in May versus what happens in May 26th? I just don't want people to get confused on that. I'm sorry, when says May 26th, town meeting to approve the budget with the debt service included? At the very bottom right line, right?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, May 2026. So at the town meeting, the town meeting will be the first year that you will see a budget that has the debt service for the substation on the budget included. So essentially, when the town sets that budget, the next first quarter tax bill, which will be January of 2027, will truly be the first time you actually see an impact of the project.
The reason I bring it up is it's important because that's when other debt is rolling off. So that delta between what the increase is going to be is going to be partially offset by what's rolling off. So even though we're voting for it in May, the financial implications don't hit you for another year or two, but there's positives that are going to occur at that time as well. I'm just giving my cheap plugs for the project at this point.
So just the form of the ballot question, this is what people will see on the ballot. Shall the town of Charlton be allowed to exempt from the propositions of 2 1/2, so-called $1,100,000 of bonds and interest associated therewith, issued in order to pay the cost of design, constructing, equipping, and furnishing a fire station substation, including the payments of all costs incidental and related thereto. And again, you need a majority to pass. 3 weeks later, we'll see this town meeting article. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but essentially, $18.5 million will be the number that's on the ballot. Using $1.5 million to be transferred for capital stabilization, and $98,000 from unexpended bond proceeds, and then authorizing the town to borrow $16.92 million. And relate the FAQs, additional questions, and I will turn it over to the project team if you guys have anything else that will matter.
That was a great overview. I don't have anything else to add. So I'm certainly happy to answer questions. So.
For those folks watching at home, and I'm sure Jason, when he writes this up, does this set us up well for the next X amount of years?
It's probably a great question for the fire chief, but I think in terms of our role in the project study, the feasibility study, we did look at needs that this building will solve that you might say a prototypical fire substation may not necessarily address. For instance, there's some office space in this building that will take pressure off the headquarters. There's some vehicle space here that will take pressure off the headquarters and really allow the department to operate in a more flexible manner and a more responsive manner, and I think it will help overall the town position itself better for fire service, because of the construction of this facility.
I can probably add to that, because I sat in, and I'm just gonna be, I was listening to Chief Knopf talk about it. So this building is 4 double bays. The study showed us that the town eventually in the future will need 8 double bays. So we build these 4, and then we still have the old H headquarters. When that building finally gets decided to be rebuilt somewhere, maybe on that same spot, those people making that decision probably aren't born yet, based on the way this town moves. But all it needs to be is 4 bays, 4 double bays. It doesn't mean, well, maybe you can't put double bays at Power Station Road, but. So it's a step in the right direction. It gets us out of the jam we're in right now with the Quonset hut and Station 2 and all the other bottlenecks.
Yeah.
And it's a good step in the right direction.
I mean, the photographs depicted, you know, what you're doing to your assets today by having them in essentially the outside. Yes, they're covered, but, you know, they're subject to the weather. Let's be real. And, you know, vehicles outside, and these are not, you know, your typical automobile, obviously. It's much more of an investment. So it's protecting your investments for the future is really what you're doing.
What was the projected cost of the safety building all those years back?
It was $28.5 million was the original projection. I think by the time bids were in hand, the project would have proceeded at 26.3.
Yeah.
So we can't afford waiting anymore.
But
That's what I said.
the town just received a brand new tanker truck. And that's at Station 2 now. So we have how much, what's the tanker truck cost? What was it? $500,000?
Yeah.
It's probably a rough guess. So now that's sitting in Station 2, probably in a little bit of water after the last couple, brand new, right out of the factory. That doesn't make any sense at all. You know? We really need to, I really hope the town understands this.
Yeah, Plan A was the PSB, Plan B was the standalone fire station. This is Plan C. And to be honest, there is no Plan D. It doesn't exist. It's not like we're gonna pull a rabbit out of the hat and say, oh, we were just kidding. No. Like, if this doesn't pass, I honestly don't know what we do. We basically wait for Station 2 to collapse, and it will. Or we're gonna have to condemn it because of the mold, and we're not gonna put our firefighters inside a building filled with mold, and then we're gonna be forced to do something. So really, this is our Plan C. There is no backup plan. So anyway.
And the situation with the 97, you got that?
Tomorrow.
So my road show from here is tomorrow night. I'll be meeting for the school committee, presenting the same presentation. And then on April 24th, I'll be doing a public information session for anybody willing and interested to hear me talk for an hour at Charlton Middle School. So,
yeah, please remind. Yeah, just remind our friends on the school committee, their budget's 2.4 minus the lease, so.
That's right off the top. There's not even, that's not negotiable. I agree.
Oh, Kelly, you're still here. I didn't notice. No, I was-
You hear what we're whispering?
that's all I got.
All good, we're gonna get it done.
I'm good.
Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming in.
Good night.
Thank
Great-
you. for
great work,
all your
Charles.
work. Anything to come from administrator?
I don't have anything.
Anything today? Okay. Other business? Nothing here. Next meeting, April 23rd. That's when we meet with the FinCom again.
Correct.
Correct. And the schools too. Just the FinCom. Oh, this is for the.
That's for recommending the award.
Yeah. All right.
Madam Chair,
that's
unless
it.
there's nothing else, I'll make a motion to enter into executive session under MGL Chapter 38, Section 21A to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining or litigation for the police union. If an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigating position of the public body, the chair so declares to return to open session if needed and to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Pete, aye.
Steve, aye.
Russia, aye.
Aye.
David,